name's Ralph and welcome to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Today, before we get into the number crunching and the figuring and the ciphering that I plan to do on this video for those that enjoy that sort of stuff, I'd like to talk a little bit about why I do this sort of stuff, I guess. I think a great part of it is the people I've become involved with. You know, I've mentioned before, a contact from all you people out there that watch my channel from around the world and let me know where you're from sometimes just blows my mind. And I appreciate it all, and I hope you continue to do that because I really enjoy it. But every once in a while something comes along and you know, you meet someone and you talk to them and you see sort of what their life has been like and their attachments and stuff. And their attachment gives you a sense of attachment to it. So, you know, such person is a gentleman I met named John Smith. Now, John has a couple Harleys, and he has a beautiful 1975 shovel that he plans to do this project with. And he's going to put this 3-speed with reverse in it, and he's going to put a sidecar on it. Now, as the story goes, as he told me, his friend had bought this bike at a Ottawa police auction way back in 1984. And that's how it came to be. Now, when they took this bike back home, his friend Darwin, who had purchased the bike, he told me, they played with it and they were up and down the street lifting the sidecar up and going on 2 wheels, much like a friend of mine, Lyle Fowler, does every time he leaves here with his sidecar that I help gear some things up on. It's always fun to see. So I guess the guy rode the bike for a while, and then he, you know, as many people do, they take it apart with good intentions of what they're going to do and what their plans are. And the next thing you know, 30 years went by. There was another good friend that was with him that day, and his name was Harley, and he had been to the auction with them. So years passed with these guys always hanging around like the three amigos and having a good time. And Harley would always talk to Darwin about acquiring the bike, but as the years went by, it just didn't happen. Now, John always thought that the sidecar would look great on his 75 shovel head and would be a great addition to it. So he began to pursue him about getting the sidecar. Well, you can see the kind of shape it is when they drug it out. But, you know, John had his mind set that this was going to be, you know, a ride for him for, you know, I won't call it the rest of your life, John, but a ride that you can get out and enjoy as much as you can with as much time we have. So fast forward a few years, and John actually did make a deal with Darwin for the sidecar with plans to put it on his 75 FLH. Now, John had, of course, always had his friend Harley do his work for him, and he would have passed it on to get his tranny done, but unfortunately Harley's passed away, unfortunately, from cancer through the years. So John was sort of stuck as to what he was going to do with it. So in passing, as it goes and as our world goes along in YouTube, turned out John started watching my channel, and he said that gave him the inspiration to once again tackle the project that he wanted to do. And he said, you know, how hard can it be? I've got experience for, you know, of working on Harleys and such. But the reality of it all was over 30 years had passed. So John felt that he may be up against the wall with it, so he thought he contacted me to see if I'd be interested in doing the transmission. And knowing the story and stuff, how could I say no? And now that he's into the project, you know, he says, I'm loving every minute of it. So he actually said in the end to me that, you know, all the memories that had flooded back, you know, as we talked, and I asked him if, you know, give me a little bit of background on the bike itself. You know, the memories all flooded back, you know, happy and sad ones all at once. But John is working hard to put this project together. He's got a great start on it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed by how clean he is, and I'm not, seemingly, if I compare myself to him at times. But I wish him all the well with the project. These are the kind of things that keep me going. These are the kind of stories and memories flooding back from the good times that you had in the years past is what it's really about. So John, I wish you well with your project there, and I'm sure that when you get that out and the sidecars on it and you can back it up and stuff, that you'll have an everlasting smile on your face. All right, with that said, let's get on with today's video. Right now we've got it all apart, as you've seen in the last one, and now we've got to start checking for our measurements and to figure out what we got to have for needle bearings in it. So what we plan to do is measure inside of this hole right here and inside of this hole right here. And they can be a discrepancy between the two. There can be a difference. So we're going to measure them individually and make sure what sizes they are. You know, I guess if one was out way a long ways, I could compensate on that side with needle bearings. And if it was out a long ways on the other end, I could do the same. So we're going to take some measurements here today and get these figured out down in here. And I'm just going to use a little telescoping gauge there to measure down in there. So we'll just stick it down in the hole and we'll measure it up in there. And we'll just get our calipers here. And I'm about 65, yeah. So I'm an inch, 0.10665 here on the measurement. We'll quickly give the other one a measurement. Now I'll go back and take some cross references. You should measure this way and measure this way. But I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes so that we can move on a little bit. And once again, we'll measure that up. All right, so we've got that written down, we've checked it. We know where we're going with it. The next part is to make our calculations. We're gonna calculate, you know, for a new countershaft in it, a standard countershaft in it. And we know this is out a little bit, you know. So I certainly may be able to step up to one larger, and I'm going to show you how to calculate that, because sometimes it can be deceiving, or you'll get to it and you'll be measuring it up and say, which way do I go, what clearances should I use, which one do I take off of here and that. So we're going to step over to my little whiteboard over here, and hopefully I can explain some things out to you and make it a little easier how to figure this out. Now the same procedure would work for the main bearing. We're going to have to do the same thing, but I am going to lap the main bearing out just to make sure it's square in the hole and nice and smooth. And so I'll have to mic that out individually to get what I need. But it would be the same procedure. You know, you start from your standard, work your way up from there. So let's go have a look at the board and see what we can make heads or tails of it. So we got things kind of set up here at the whiteboard here, and it's a little dark in here. I'm filming, and I'll try to brighten it up as we go along. But this is going to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing and what we're talking about, and how we're getting to those numbers. So we got our low gear side of our counter shaft and our high gear side, one with the big gear, one with the small gear, right? So what we're going to try to do is explain it just as easily as I can and make it simple to see. So our low gear side is 1.0065, and our high gear side is about the same. Now the rollers that we plan to use are standard rollers, or we'll do our calculations based on standard rollers, with a clearance of 1/1000th of an inch, with only 5/10,000ths on each side. So we're going to take our case bushing, which is 1.0065, and we're going to subtract the countershaft size from it, which we have a new countershaft, so we had gone back before and used the center of our countershaft as a measurement on our used countershaft. Turned out it was 1/2 thou smaller than the Andrews countershaft, so we had to go along and recalculate things. So we've got the new shaft calculation right here, and we subtract those two, we get 0.251. Now we minus 1/1000th of an inch, which is our clearance. We get that number at 0.250. We then divide that by 2. Now we'll get 0.125. We'll subtract the 125 standard bearing, and we get 0.0000, which is what we want, and that's the bearing clearance that we want. So you have to be very careful on what you're using and what you're measuring from. I got thrown at first because I was going by the center measurement on the original countershaft, which wouldn't have had any new wear on it, but the size of it was 1/2 thou smaller than the new Andrews countershaft, which would certainly misconstrue all of our measurements as far as that goes. So that's about how it goes. That's how you do the calculations for any sort of needle bearings. We're going to do the same thing for the main bearing when we go to do that, and we'll show you that and show you those calculations, and that will give you a little better idea of also where we're going. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier to understand. It works with everything. So the thing is that you're always taking your biggest outside diameter, the whole outside diameter, the shaft that fits in it. You're subtracting the 2 to get a number. You're taking off your clearance, divide that by 2, you get your number, you subtract the standard roller size from it, and that will give you the number that you need. So I hope that's helped some of you out. That's how we calculate our bearing clearances. We're also going to check out our counter shaft here now, because our counter shaft is running on needle bearings. We need to measure where the needle bearings have been running on this shaft. And there are, you know, there's light marking there, and you can see that when we're trying to figure out thousandths of an inch for our spacing. And I measured at the shaft size, and we're 755 there. That's what I'm getting. And when I go down to where the bearing was running on the surface, and we check that, I'm seeing that I'm almost a thou and a half difference smaller on the bearing surface where the needle bearings have been running. See it on the flip side here. Not quite as bad, but it is down thousandths. It's more on this side here. So we'll have a look at that in the case there. And so we'll take some measurements maybe in here. There's not enough there to bother with. The amount is so slight. Never prior push or plunder. Very hard to get in and measure the inside of the back one here. So we'll try to get down in from the back side here. There you go. One thou on that side that tightens in, so that's not overly critical. About a half a thousandth of an inch, and I don't think I've replaced the bushings for that. This side's going to cinch up tight in there. This side's got the O-ring in there, and that little bit is not going to cause, no cause for alarm. Everything goes in there, you know, fairly nice and tight, even with the minimal amount of wear that's there. I can just rock it a little bit and feel that, but you're not going to once that's locked in. So I don't think there's any reason to replace those. I'll have to check the wear specs, but I think they're good to go. So we're just going to see if we can get a measurement now of our main bearing area. I expect it shouldn't be too bad, I'm hoping. So we're just going to get a couple measurements, enough so I can set my other gauge up. Just at the 6, just at the 6. Looks like 675, 80, 81. So I'm just going to roughly set my gauge to that. I've got this small gauge here, and so that I can set it, and I can go around and measure in a whole bunch of different places, this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, and see how square our hole is. If our hole is nice and square, then you know, I just need to just run a light hone through that, just to clean it up, put a little bit of a pattern in it. We'll take our measurements and see where we got to go compared to this to our fourth gear. But right now we want to see what kind of shape the hole's in. I'm just going to adjust my gauge up to 0 here. Like I say, it's not critical, but we want to see, it is critical, I guess. We want to see if it's out thousandths of an inch or so either way. A little fussy. Splitting hairs. They say a thousandth of an inch is the thickness of a human hair, so sort of what we're doing right now. Splitting hairs. So if we stick it in here, we should almost zero out. Here our butt. Thousandths there. Under a thou there. Thou there. Just quite a thou on the outside. So we're going to get the hone set up, and we'll run that through it, and then we'll wash that out and take a few other measurements on it, and we'll take it from there. So I'll have to get that gear out. We're out, you know, a thou and a half around and this way, tapered in downwards. So it's like a thousandth of an inch from one end down to the other. So it's not too bad. We just got to hone it out a bit there, just enough to get ourselves a nice pattern in there, and I'm sure that once we work that through there a couple times, it's going to straighten right up and give us a nice finish the way we want on there without having to take too much off. Once we've done that and we're done with it, then we can figure out what size bearings that we need to go in there, same as we did with the other calculations for the other sort of little counter spots, right? Now I'll have to get my gear out to do that. Just do one more check. Yeah, plow it that way. Nothing this way. Do it in a couple areas, but not a whole lot. So we got to get this nut off here because we're going to use this bearing to keep our arbor in line. We're not going to use our brand new one for chances of getting lapping compounder in it, and this will work out just fine. So we're going to try and get that off, which I've been letting it soak. Release all. You guys sent me from my channel there, thank you very much again. Loosen that right up, and it was on there. It was on there. Get that lock off, because that could bugger us. And we need that in the ring. So, take a minute, put it in the press, and press it out. So now as we're getting ready to hone our transmission bearing, we have to put the bearing back in this case. And this is a good bearing here. It's not the one that's going in it, but it's a good bearing. And we've put that back in with the plate on it to hold it in place and make sure it's squared up there in the case. There, that's about where I want it there. A little tool, do a quick spray, especially on the threads. A squirt of oil on the threads. There we go. So it takes a little bit of frigging around to get it in place, get it adjusted where you want it. So I think it's got to go quite a bit actually on this one. Stick it through here, and we've got a little piece like this, a little small piece that goes on the end of the shaft right here. And it fits in the bearing. There we go, like that. And then when we tighten this up, we move it back and forth through here. But we're really slack right now, so get our handle set up. Well, I had to sort of move over here. I didn't have enough throw in my bench. It surprised me. I thought I would have enough there, but I didn't. Anyway, we've got it in there. We've got it fitted pretty well. Put a little bit of oil on it going through here. Just goes through that little bushing. So now we've got our thing adjusted out there pretty well where we want it. So we're just going to put a light coat of stuff on it, and you don't need a whole lot. If you get a whole lot, it can ball up on you and jam you up in there. So it's just little by little. Put a little bit on it, see how that reacts, and you'll know how much to tighten it up. That's going through there nice and easy. So we can definitely give it another little crank here. Remember, we're not real worn out on here, so we're just trying to kind of even it out, get the high spots out, get it patterned back in it, sort of. It's not on the outside. It's coming around.
60 years of steel and chrome, a relic on the floor. 3-4 gears, a reverse that roars, a story worth the lore. The dusty bolts and tired springs have dreamed of endless miles, but the math inside the gearbox knows the secret of its smile. Torque equations whisper, you're built to bear the load. Gear ratio poetry, the numbers crack the code. Turn the club promise.
So we're just gonna go along and keep measuring it, pulling it out, spray it, clean it, measure those things out, just so we can see it coming out just bit by bit and nice and round all around. Pretty hard because you got to turn it all around, so we're shooting for that 0 mark right around there within that half a thou.
So raise a wrench, salute the grind, the transmission's creed. 3 speeds, 1 reverse, a timeless need. When the road calls out, the gearbox answers true. A 60-year-old.
That's where we want to be. It's nice and even all the way around. So we've got our measurement off of that, and we'll double check that again, see where it's set, and that will give us our outside diameter, and then we can compare it to our gear and figure out what size bearings we need for it. So we'll get back to our board here just for a minute just to show you what's going on with our main bearing. And this is our main bearing, and we measured it out to be 1,881 as the measurement for the hole once we started cleaning it up. We're chasing a little spot there that was like less than a half a thou, and I've learned that if you just keep going and going, then you end up with a bigger hole than anything. But this is the actual size here, and you can see we did the same sort of formula, took our piece, you know, subtracted the main gear here from the hole size, took that down 1/1000th clearance, took it down to that, divide by 2, take it down there, says we're looking for like an 0.007 thou bearing. To put in there. Now, just for shits and giggles, I thought that I would figure it out at a half a thousandths bigger, and there was one sort of spot there that was a little bit like that, and I fooled with a little bit and went, man, I'll tell you, with that hand lapping stuff, it can get dicey. So rather than go bigger, I just wanted to check on that sort of size and see if it was that little tiny bit bigger, what size bearing would it need. So I did the calculations with it 5/10 thousandths bigger, and went all through the whole thing, and it gave me like a 9/10 thousandths. So we're gonna put 8/10 thousandths in it, and that's gonna be just fine, and she's just gonna run for years on that like that. So I hope that's helped some of you out with these sort of calculations. They apply to the 4-speed, same as the 3-speed. Just measure your stuff and figure it out. All the 4 speeds before 77 had needle bearings, and I'm gonna have to be doing one here in a while as well. It would take this same kind of work to figure out what you need. It being a 3-speed is irrelevant in this case. So I hope that helped you out with it, and now we can move on and get our cases washed out and cleaned out. We're all done that sort of stuff. I'm just waiting for some parts. Slick man, I hope you're finding that part for me down there. Keeping my fingers crossed and everything I can, you know. It looks like it's been updated or superseded to a new number that has a brass bushing instead of having the steel piece like that. But with all cross references, of course I have a part number that doesn't exist. It's out of my 40 to 47 knuckle book. So we figure we're gonna get it, but Slick, I'm counting on you to come through there either from Nick's or you said you have another contact. So we'll be looking forward to getting that. I gotta order some other parts anyway. So that's about where we are for now. All right, so we've got her all ready to go now. We've just taken it out of the hot water and hot soapy bath there and blown it all out and washed it out a couple times to make sure that we've got all the grit out of here, any sort of lapping compound or anything that would be in here. And we've got a nice finish on our surface here. And if you look up close here, you can see that we got a nice satin finish, and it's just exactly what we want there. It's size to size, so we're ready to go. Next step is I've ordered some parts. We got some parts on the way. I'm still looking for some other particular parts, but as our bushing for 4th gear stuff gets here, we can work away ahead of that and get those kind of things cleaned up as well. But other than that, she's all clean, she's good, she's sized, she's ready to go. We just need some new parts, and that's when the more of the fun will begin, putting it back together and making it all new. So stick with us. We'll see you when we get the parts. Well, today I found myself on a Monday morning in a little bit of a lull there. We got Trigger out the other on the weekend there, and Frank took her home, so my lift is free now. I have a new project coming in, and I just spoke to the gentleman this morning from New Brunswick, and it's an 82 shovel that really needs some tender love and care, the whole thing. And it's going to be quite a project, so I'll keep you updated on that as we go. But today gives me a little chance to kick back, and in my mailbox today I got a package, and it's from Slick. So let's open it up and see what we can find. What old Slick has sent me. A pair of gloves. Looks like a banner, and this is my personal note from Slick. Not surprising. Merry belated Christmas. I included some gloves so you can put them on over your dirty dick beaters and when you're hanging up my banner from Slick. Please stop calling me Tom in your letters. My name is Rick, but my friends call me Slick. You got that, Robert? LOL. I know, Slick. I know I messed up there when I mentioned you the hippie and that, but I got her straight, Rick. So I see that I'm in the same category as the Silver Nuts Garage Boys. That you think my hands are too dirty to handle your stuff, but like I say, my hands get dirty. You're the one with clean hands all the time. Doesn't seem like they ever get dirty. You know, you got hands like a girl sometimes. So. But hey. Here we go. So it's a new banner. I'll find a place in my shop to put that up, Slick. I guess since I sent you a banner, I shamed you into sending me one. All the time I see it hanging there. Hip has one. You got one. Old Ralph up here in the Great White North, he never got one. But since I bothered to send you one, I guess you felt obligated to send me one. So thanks very much, Slick. I appreciate it, and I'll find a place that I can put it up in here. I don't have a whole lot of wall space, but I'll find a place to put it up. It won't be a problem. So it's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Slick has helped me find a gear for my 3-speed transmission down there, and he's been dealing with Nick and stuff. So I'm looking forward to him finding something. I think that he's found something that I can use. Thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate the input. It's us old fellas that can pass on some of the tricks that we've learned, and talking to me about the 59 and up gear and such, which I'll explain later. You certainly helped me out with some questions that I had. So Monday morning, we're going to go on with the day. I'm going to kind of putter around here and take my time and get a plan in place. Like I say, this other bike is coming in here in a week or so, and then we'll have a look at that and see what I'm into. I know it's a ball of wax for sure. The whole thing needs a lot of work. But the gentleman that owns it, he wants to restore it. He wants to bring it back to the way it was, and there's a great story that goes along with it. And I'll give you more info on that once we start. So I might be hung up on the 3-speed for a couple weeks here till I get a gear. We're still in winter, so it's not imperative. I'm waiting for an order to come in, which is days behind again, with some of the other parts that I need so that I can start assembly on it. But we'll get to it. In any case, thanks, Slick. I'll put it up. I'll keep telling people to check you out. Slickhead Custom Cycles. Check him out, subscribe, help his channel to grow. And one more thing, for a guy that has such a beautiful lady and everything else, you sure got an infatuation with dicks. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do those kind of things. It helps us to grow. Working on the old transmissions is always a challenge, and trying to find parts for them can be even harder in this day and age. But we're going to try and do the best that we can do with it. And I appreciate all the help I've been getting around and the info I've been getting from Slick and from Nick down there. It's been a learning experience, if nothing else, and I appreciate it very much. I think next week I'm going to go on a trip to my buddy Josh up at South Mountain Cycle, where he's got a dyno and stuff, and check out his shop. I've been meaning to get there for over a year and a half, haven't made it, but I'm taking time now. I'm going up there to check him out and get some video, and it'd be well worth seeing what he's got up there. He's quite a talented guy, and I'm sure you'll all be impressed. So before I go, I already talked about Slick, but check out my buddy Hip down at Hippie's Chopper Corner, home of the sketchy chopper and the stock frame killer. Check them boys out. Have a good time. I'll see you next week.